It's a big, big day for Mahindra. This is the day when the Pininfarina Battista was launched. Anand, in a way, unbelievable that Mahindra has gotten into this space. Who would have thought that? And who would have thought that an EV also could be desirable? So just your thoughts on the Battista, because I'm sure this is quite an emotional day.
It is, you use the right word, unbelievable. Somebody asked me earlier that, is this a proud moment for you? And I said that I'm in a state of disbelief. Hormazd, business is not just about money. People presume it's about your ROI, and of course it is. But the biggest joy of business comes when you envision something, when you conceptualize something, and it just leaps out of paper and becomes reality. And this was one of the moments there. So it's emotional, of course, but I'm in a state of suspended animation right now. I'm pinching myself, but yes, it's a moment, it's a big high.
You know what's interesting about the Battista is that how quickly it was done and the scale and level to which it was achieved. Clearly this was done outside the Mahindra ecosystem, and just wanted to understand, I think that was necessary, because if you put it in the bigger framework of Mahindra, where you're making thousands and thousands of vehicles, this sort of a project would probably get really delayed. So was creating a completely separate ecosystem in Europe absolutely crucial for this?
Well, first of all, it's interesting you said that this was out of the Mahindra ecosystem. I'm hoping that in a few years from now, people will say, this is Mahindra's ecosystem, that we understand how to incubate projects outside what was our own core area or core structure, precisely because we understand when something needs to be nimble and agile as a startup, where you need passion, where you need people who are going to be working in because they feel part of the ownership of the company. And Hormazd, if you look around, we are doing that more and more. We incubated Smart Shift, which was frankly in the e-mobility space. We started up Glide now. We have done Java also in a very similar model. It's outside. So I think Mahindra is going to be a company and a group where you're going to see all kinds of ecosystem. So arguably, this is the Mahindra ecosystem. It's global. And yes, did it have to be international? Of course. We are talking about a segment which is so rarefied, which caters to the globally affluent, and now the affluent who have a conscience and want sustainable luxury, that it had to have a European imprint. After all, the brand is European. And that's why it was necessary to give it a different center of gravity.
And Anand, you've been an EV evangelist for a long time. You've really been committed to it. Briva became Mahindra Electric. You've been first mover over there. But quite frankly, the consumer doesn't feel the same way. The EV sales are absolutely non-existent. Of course, policies are not helping. You've got FAME too. It's not really helping. There's nothing in for the private owner. Do you think EVs are still there, or is it just too much hype? Because quite frankly, the IC engine still has a lot of legs and so much can be done. And sometimes I think, are we getting too far ahead of ourselves with this whole EV business?
This is a good question to ask Pawan, who you will be talking to now, because he has been saying out publicly that the ICE engine is far from dead, and rumors of its death are premature.
No, what I meant is, as an EV evangelist, I wanted
As an EV evangelist, we are not the ones who created the hype. There are a lot of academics from various Ivy League universities who come and say, by 2020, every car will be electric, and they show that picture of Manhattan, and where there were only buggies, and then suddenly it changed. And that gets eyeballs, that gets attention, it creates hype. As far as we are concerned, we knew when we acquired this that this was something inevitable, but it would take a long haul, and we were determined to stay with it, and that's what we've done. We did the same thing with Formula E. We took a punt on Formula E. It looked like a bizarre thing to do, and look at the branding it's brought us. So we are in it for the long term, and we think electrifying the entire automotive space is inevitable. Having said that, as I said, Pawan will tell you that there's a lot of life left in the ICE engine.
You talked about Formula E being a punt. Do you think the Battista is also a bit of a punt? I mean, the whole automobile Pininfarina, because it's something which hasn't been established. The EVs and the hypercar space really hasn't been proved. Will it have the value going forward, like something mechanical? Could it be like a quartz watch, for example, where you don't have the internal combustion engine to kind of add the value like a mechanical watch? So really, it's unknown territory to a great extent, isn't it?
So the more questions you have like that, the more it means that you are probably onto something disruptive and something that will work. You will get no prizes for guessing which of the largest and highest market cap companies today were all punts. Facebook, Google, Tesla. Tell me which company today, which is right at the top, was not a punt. So frankly, it's time everyone took a punt and disrupted every space possible.
And just talking a bit on the whole Formula E and the automobile Pininfarina technology. I mean, can we see this translating to other products? What's your view, or is it just still too far removed?
Whenever people tell you that Formula One was a lab for the ICE engine, frankly, that's a stretch. If you look at the history of it, very a microscopic fraction of the kind of technology developed at Formula One finds its way onto the road. Given that electric cars are really at the frontier and there is so much invention required, the race to road horizon here is really compressed, unlike Formula One. So we are seeing enormous application of the high performance batteries that will in fact find application in the kind of cars that Automobili Pininfarina will build.
And last question, Anand, are you going to be buying the Battista? Are you going to be putting your own money where your money is?
If I'm going to do any conspicuous consumption, it will be for sustainable luxury. So yes, I have my eye on it too.
Okay, so maybe not order number one?
I think you sound like you want to ask me for a ride in that one. When I do bring it, I'll give you a ride in it. How's that?
And I'd like
You'll
to drive
be the
it
first
with
one.
you.
Absolutely.
Super. Look forward. Congrats, Anand.
Take care.
Big day.
Take care. Thank
All
you.
the best.